So here is my review of the 2022 Honda CRF450RL. Now, a lot of people have complaints about this bike. It does have its cons that I knew of before buying it, but with those cons, you have like easy fixes for them. I mean, yeah, you have to spend some money, but to be honest, to fix these issues, you have to buy parts that I was planning on buying anyways. Now, so far, I've got 238 miles on it. 95% of that was on road. The other 5% was running dirt roads. So the cons that I have are just like everybody else's, where at low RPMs it wants to stall. When you're going fairly quick, like in 5th or 6th gear, and you pull in the clutch and let off the gas, most of the time it will shut off. Now, with that being said, it was pretty bad when I first started riding it, but it is gradually getting better. Now, to fix that, everybody says to change out your ECU, which is under the seat. That buying one of those, you can either get the Vortex or the AIM, which is what I'm going to end up going with. The reason why I'm not going with the Vortex is, yes, a lot of people use it, but one, it's fairly hard to get. And from what I've read, the reason why it's hard to get is because of the fact that they're still using old components, and those are getting harder to find, where the AIM is all new components. And the biggest problem with the AIM is just like small little bugs where they have a decent amount of like firmware updates, which is simple enough of plugging it into your computer and updating it, which the AIM does actually have a lead not only for a second injector, but has the plug to be able to plug it into your computer and update things like you would with a normal tuner. Now with that, I am going to be doing an exhaust. The exhaust that I wanted to go with was the FMF 4.1, which is a full titanium system, which I have heard issues of the Mega Bomb header pipe cracking at the welds. But then again too, you can't get those anymore because of emissions regulations. Now, I've heard that you can order the pipe for the 450X and it will fit, but I'm not sure about that 100%. I haven't seen it done, I've just read it. Now, the other pipe is the Yosh RS4, which is another one I was going to look at, but that one is currently out of stock everywhere that I've looked with no ETA. So the final exhaust that I've seen is the Graves, which is a full titanium system. I've seen no complaints about the Graves besides like the sticker coming off of the muffler itself, which who cares, it's a sticker. And honestly, I feel like the pipe looks better without the sticker on it anyways. Now that does have your standard spark arrestor installed, which makes the bike a little bit quieter, but if you take that spark arrestor out, it makes it fairly loud. Now with those two, another thing is the thermostat. A lot of people will do the thermostat delete. I think it's really based off of where you live. If you're up north and it does get cold while you're riding, it may be beneficial to keep that on. Myself, I'm down here in Florida right now, where I'm probably going to do the delete because it's hot all the time, and it's better to have the coolant circulating all of the time. Another thing that people have been doing is down here, it's better to see on the other side. Down here, you've got your charcoal canister, and then also you have a crankcase breather or a catch can. Just more emission stuff that is only beneficial for emission standards, where you can remove all of that, plug off the ports. I just watched Mud Puppy's video where he did it. he said that he hasn't seen anything about people getting check engine lights for removing all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and probably do that as well. Now, other than that, I do plan on doing Supermoto tires. I did already do the license plate bracket and then the Supermoto mirrors. I bought both of those from SR Moto. Now for riding itself, it is pretty quick for being a quote-unquote detuned 450. Once you do the ECU and the exhaust, it's supposed to be like right up there with your standard 450, except being fuel injected. For stability, I had this weird feeling pretty much once I would get over 60, where I would have like a very small death wobble in the handlebars. And I've seen that other people have had that issue too, and changing the tires and obviously the position of where you are on the bike, depending on where you're sitting, how your legs are and everything like that will differ. But honestly, I haven't changed the tires. I've tried all over the place on the seat and everything like that. And it actually seems that now that I have a few more miles on it, I don't know if it's just because I'm more comfortable on the bike, but it does seem to be more stable. Other than that, I'm going to leave the handlebars. I like the handlebars. The gas tank, it is a 2-gallon gas tank. Right now, I'm averaging about 55 miles per gallon. So I'll get roughly around 110 per tank. I'm not a fan that it doesn't have an actual fuel gauge, but it is convenient that your tripometer does tell you an estimate of how many gallons you've used. So I've just been using that. IMS does sell a 3-gallon tank that I'll probably end up going with. The only thing I don't like is it sticks up a little bit, so it kind of looks ugly. But I mean, getting that extra 40 to 50 miles out of a tank will definitely be more convenient. Other than that, there's really not much. I was really contemplating between this 450 or the KTM 500. My biggest reason for going with the Honda is just I've ridden Honda pretty much all of my life, and I know that Honda parts are less expensive than they are for KTMs, and I know that some people have had issues with getting genuine KTM parts sometimes, depending on what it is. So I just went with this bike and I'm very pleased with it. I have no complaints besides the normal ones that you hear, like I said, but I knew that those were going to be the problems, and they didn't steer me away from making the purchase, and they haven't changed my mind on making the purchase. I've owned the bike for 3 weeks. Like I said, I put the 238 miles on it. I usually just ride on the weekends, just pretty much just bomb around town. I do plan on trying to take it down some trails, see how that is. But first things first is I'm going to get that ECU and the exhaust on and go from there. Now, once I get up to, I don't know if I do 500 or 1,000, I'll probably do another follow-up video. But from now, this is just like here, I've ridden it a couple of times. Here's my opinion.